Hi guys, I wanted to do a quick video just because I finally did something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I was a little nervous to try it because I didn't really know what to expect. Reading the manual seems quite simple, but there's some warnings about, the axis moving on its own and all sorts of stuff, and there's no videos that I could find on the process, and it's kind of one of those things I think you want to watch someone do it first before you attempt it. So that's obviously the auto tuning for servos on the Siemens 808D Advanced. So I think that's only available on the Advanced 808, and then probably also on the 828 and 840, I would assume, obviously, too. So from the factory, this machine's acceleration wasn't really tuned properly. Using it normally, you didn't really notice, but I enabled Cycle 832, so I changed my post-processor to allow it. So through Fusion 360, it would basically automatically write any of the milling functions to Cycle 832. And basically that's the HSM kind of system in the Siemens. Again, I think that's only available on the 808D Advanced, not on the Basic. So Cycle 832, if we go into a program, this is it here, but we'll go out. I can't go out. So you just go into milling, high-speed settings. So this is the Cycle 832 window. So basically you end up setting a compromise between these three aspects based on what you hope to achieve. So, for example, in a roughing operation, you want to focus just on velocity. And if you want to do a contour operation, you're probably a lot more concerned about accuracy, or maybe a blend of the both between surface quality and accuracy, and you're happy to let velocity suffer. So in Fusion, based on your tolerance setting in the actual operation window, that's what then the post-processor decides which setting to use for Cycle 832. So when I did this, specifically on the contour operations, things that require like exact stop, this machine basically tried to shake itself to death. It was, you could tell it was incredibly hard on it. It was shaking and banging, and it was all kinds of bad. So I knew something was wrong. I messed around with it myself, and I got things better to the point where I could use Cycle 832, but I knew it was still wrong. There's like 10 different variables for each axis for acceleration, and a lot of them are really hard to understand. So I messed with some, got it better, but I knew that this ultimately was what I wanted to do. So first thing you want to do if you're going to try this, shift system, you're going to set the password to enter as manufacturer. Then I highly recommend a archive, so back up the control. So scroll down one to create startup archive. It's going to save all this stuff just in case something goes wrong. At least you have somewhere to go back to. You hit OK and it'll walk you through saving it to the USB stick. So we're gonna cancel that. Now simply go into tuning test. Now I've done this before, so it's got some things in here that'll be different from you the first time you do it. There will be one line for tune all axis, X, Y, and Z. If you've got a newer X7, you'll also see the spindle in there. But on a machine like mine, with what you consider to be an analog spindle, so that mine uses a VFD and then just a generic kind of servo motor. You can't, first of all, you can't tune the spindle because it's an analog, what they call an analog spindle. And in addition, you should not touch Z. That's my recommendation to you. Do not tune Z. If you have an analog spindle, don't tune Z. I messed around with acceleration in Z before, and I started breaking taps. So unless you've got a Siemens spindle motor and a Siemens spindle motor driver, I would recommend don't touch Z, only do X and Y. So that's my little warning to you guys based on my experience. So the first thing you want to do and it's not obvious, is there's only a start tune button. So it's whatever line you have highlighted and you hit start tune, that's the one it's going to do. So we're going to do X, but the other thing is we're going to change the options. So you need to do this too. So highlight the one you want to do, hit options. Now, what you want to see is at the top, you want to see moderate responsiveness. Now, because I've done this once already, it has some existing results, but we're going to change that to new measure. I'm going to try this. So I would have thought it was new measure with preliminary steps. Actually, yeah, it's already going to be set to the one you need to do if you haven't done this. So don't worry about it. I'm actually going to try new measure with no preliminary steps. I'm going to try it because I just did this before, and I didn't get as many variables showing in the table as I remembered from the first time. So I'm just going to try this. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be between this and with preliminary steps. So I'm just going to try this, and I'll let you know when we get to the final screen which one was the right one to try, okay? But the big one here is the responsiveness. You can set, you know, conservative, moderate, and I think it's, is it aggressive? No. Maximum. Again, even the manual recommends moderate for most machines. So here we go. So you hit OK. We've got X highlighted. That's the one we just changed the options for. Hit Start Tune. It's going to take you to a window that looks different in the manual, at least for me. In the manual it shows you can adjust some things on this screen, but I can't. But it doesn't matter, you don't really need to. So the line or lines that are in green are the ones that are going to be tuned. The bar represents the total overall travel available and where the axis currently is. So if we jog in X, you'll see the little arrow will move. See? So just set it, basically the point here is set it somewhere safe, near the middle. Hit Start Tune. You can see it creates a restore point here, so maybe backing up isn't totally critical, but I'd recommend doing that every now and then anyway. So here's the first thing it's showing us. The little arrow is where the drive is. The green bar is where it wants to go. So I'm going to hit cycle start. Oh, and by the way, feed rate at 100% is fine for this. It's probably what you should have. And I'm not actually even sure it makes a difference. I'm going to hit cycle start like it wants to, and you'll see the drive move. And you'll also hear that it's going to sound a little bit strange. So I'm not sure how well you can hear that. But it sounds like it's, you know, full of sand, basically. So that's it. That's as aggressive as it's going to be during this whole process. So that was one of my hesitations was, you know, what was this thing going to do? Was it going to jump around and be hard on it? But no, this whole thing is very smooth. So now it wants to move back. You can see the arrow in the green bar. Now it's going to move back. Again, sounding like it's full of gravel. That's done. I believe we're going to have to hit cycle start about 6 times before we're done. It's like, I think it said something like 7 minutes it takes to do, so here we go. We're going to do a bigger move. I believe this will still sound gravelly. Cycle start. Yeah. Now we let it think about it, and then it's going to move back. And then I can't remember if it's going to want to do 2 more or not, but at least 1 more here. Cycle start. Now we'll see what it's going to do. Done. So it's going to show us a table, and it's going to show you what the settings were before, and then basically what it wants to set them to, and you can accept or cancel. And when I did this the first time, the results were quite different. You know, some of them were set to 0, and this method wanted to set it to like 105. There were at least 4 or 5 variables that were, you know, orders of magnitude different. So yeah, and again, this is the interesting thing is, you know, I'm only showing about 3 variables here. Whereas when I did it the first time, there was a much bigger table. There's like 6, 7, 8, something like that. So you'll see, when you do it the first time, you're going to see a bigger difference. Now, curiously, you know, data before tuning is 6 and data after is 10. So that's strange to me because I have already run the tuning on this. But anyway, and you can scroll through the axes. So let's say you did Y, it's still going to show you the X screen first, which is really confusing. So you use these buttons up here to scroll through to the right axis. So this is done basically. So I can hit accept and it's going to save it. When you do this, you want to kind of load the table up like normal. You want to have, you know, I should have thrown my other vice jaw on there and stuff, but you want to have it as close to normal average weight as possible when it does this. I think I remember reading that in the manual, and besides, it just makes sense. You know, if you've got like a fourth and a bunch of vices and stuff, you want to have it all on there so that it sets acceleration based on how much mass you have always on the table. So anyway, this is now writing the parameters to the drives. And so what I'll do next is I'm going to, the absolute hardest on the machine, it seems, for acceleration is cycle 832 in contour mode with a very, I mean, whatever you call it, high or low tolerance, I guess low tolerance. So trying to move very accurately, you know, before there'd be like banging and shuddering, like I'd say. So I'm going to post, I ran some parts in here recently. I'm going to set my Z higher, and then I'm going to post just the contour operations. So, you know, we'll be able to go in and look at it when it posts. When you post out of Fusion, you can actually open the conversational windows in the control to have a look at, you know, the bridge between Fusion 360 and the control. You can actually see. So you can open each operation in a conversational window, and you can actually edit it. So it's kind of neat. But we'll open it because it'll open in cycle 832, and then we'll see what Fusion spat out, and then we'll run it, and we can see the effect of the acceleration tuning. And of course, spoiler alert, I've already done this, and it's very nice. The machine, there's no shuddering ever. You can put your hand on the castings or on the sheet metal, and no matter what it's trying to do, it's just smooth, and it's honestly, it seems quieter as well. So I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so I did just that. I went into the last program I ran, and I posted just the contour operations because, like I said, those were the most troublesome. So I had mentioned that you can open the conversational windows for what is posted out of Fusion, but one stipulation is, as far as I'm aware, you have to open it inside the NC memory area. I have a network drive, which is where I had it. Well, so we'll just try it right here. So if we go input, and it's in edit, so if we go down to cycle 832, well, I already see everything's missing here. So yeah, it won't work on the network drive, probably won't work on USB. So we'll go back. I copied it and pasted it into the NC control. So we'll go again, input, and then scroll down to the first cycle 832. So you can see here, if we go recompute, it's going to open the conversational window for that operation. So the tolerance that was passed through from Fusion was 0.01 millimeters. And then this TOL-M, that's the critical part. So as you can see here, it says 1 is finishing, 2 is pre-finishing, and 3 is roughing. So you can I could change this right now. I could change the way it was posted from Fusion, but 1 is exactly what I wanted, because that'll cause the motion to be as accurate as possible. Yet it's still moving relatively quickly, so we'll see how it handles this. So I'm going to cancel this because I don't want to adjust anything from the way it was posted from Fusion. So now I'm going to hit execute, and then I'm going to hit cycle start. So the spindle, I've just got it down to 50%, just because I haven't really run this thing yet today. So I'm going to hit cycle start, and I'm going to just be ready on the coolant pump here. I just want to shut it off before I've got the hose going into the tank right now. I just want to turn it off quickly. Should be any second. Of course, I didn't even turn the valve, so I got it wet anyway. I didn't want to have to dry the table again. So anyway, we'll let it get down here. Make sure it's in the right area. Here it goes. So I'm going up to 100%. And it's on a contour cycle, and it's just dead smooth. And that's actually not a perfect circle, what it's doing right now. So it's behaving very nicely. That circle has a flat spot in the front, and normally I'd get a little bit of vibration through the casting when it was doing that. But this is dead smooth. And actually the drives are completely silent now. I don't hear anything. So now I think it's going to do kind of a more square profile. Yeah. It's actually not a perfect square either. There's a little dish in the front. So again, I'm very happy with this. It's very smooth. So we'll see what the acceleration is like here. So yeah, I mean, it's hitting the 2,000 millimeters per minute in the cut, even though they're short cuts. So there you go. That's kind of the bad one. So it goes in for a little bit of a, just a little kind of inset feature right at the front here. Normally I kind of get a little bit of vibration through the machine when it was doing that. But this, there's nothing. There's no vibration, no movement, no noise, no banging. It's just dead smooth. So, there we go. I just thought I would demonstrate the effect. And, this you might want to set up for this kind of test as well, because your results might be different, but this is a good way to test to see the effect. You could run it first just to see what it is like now. Do the tuning, run the same. I'd recommend like a contour, some type of contour program, even without Cycle 832. Anyway, yeah, try it before and try it after, but I'm very happy with the changes that the auto tuning did. So I'm excited to actually cut some parts, which hopefully will be happening this week. Anyway, there you go. Thought I'd throw something out on YouTube for other people who are curious about trying this out, but were maybe a little nervous because they're not sure exactly what the process would entail. Well, now you know, and it's nothing to worry about. And even if it does go wrong, you can always back out of it, restore it, or I think there must be an option inside the tuning to actually go back to what it was before, because there were restore points made. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you guys, and I'll talk to you later.